everybody. Welcome to Bull City Hangout 831, last day in August. I'm Pat Murray. I publish the Durham Skywriter. That's Durham, North Carolina's online community paper. With Bull City Hangout, basically, I tell you what's happening today in Durham, and then I invite you to join me on camera and hang out or promote something, shoot the breeze, share information, etc. So let's get started with the school tools page. And I'm just reading just a few items. I mean, Durham Skywriter is chock full of information. And of course, I invite you to send me information as well. So from what I heard, the Durham Public Schools summer meals program is it's over, but I think if I can understand what I was told, like a federal program is in its place with food being distributed to the same schools that were helping feed the young people ages 18 and under during the summer. So I was told to just give you the same schools, and I will list the schools right now. And also, not only can young people ages 18 and under get free bagged lunches, but also adults can get free non-perishable food supplies. So let me just read these off. So you have until 12:30 to get to Bethesda, Eno Valley, Githens, R.N. Harris, Hillside High, Parkwood, or Sandy Ridge. And then you have until 1:30 to get to Burton, Lakeview, Shepherd, Southern High, or Southwest Elementary School. There you are. There's a couple of things happening today. So St. Joseph's AME Church, they have this parent-student webinar. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be today at 7. And it's called Unique Learning from Specialized Education to Gifted Education and Everything in Between. So hopefully we will be talking about this in detail after I do these announcements. I think I'm going to have one or two guests come on and talk about that. But just to let you know, you can learn about IEPs, that's individualized education programs for kids with disabilities. Also, you can learn about let me just let them tell you about it, but it's going to be incredible. So it's going to be today at 7, so stay tuned for that. Let me scroll down and tell you about something scientific is going on. Okay, this is today. The North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences and Prairie Ridge Eco Station, they're co-hosting the Nighttime Insects video premiere. So you can learn about the bugs that crawl and fly around at night. That should be really fun because I do hear a lot of strange noises in my backyard. So I know there's a lot of interesting animal activity going on at night. So find out about that. And that is going to be today at 2:30. That should be lots of fun. And maybe that can supplement the science class that you're, with the remote learning, et cetera, et cetera. I will leave that up to the parents. Also, Moorhead at Home. Now, that's tomorrow. Moorhead Planetarium has this wonderful science program on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock, and it is called, tomorrow, the James Webb Space Telescope. You can learn about the exciting plans for this new telescope and its launch and the operation, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to be tomorrow. It's a Zoom event. It's at 10, and the links that you need can be found right there on the School Tools page of the Durham Skywriter. All righty. Let's quickly go to the Word page. That's the governmental and nonprofit information page. Just wanted to remind you that the City of Durham has a Water Hardship Fund to help people catch up with their water bill if they've fallen behind. You can get up to $240 worth on your account. Also, just to remind you that the Durham County Department of Social Services, where is it? They have an emergency fund. If your job has been adversely affected by COVID-19, you might be able to get help with your rent payment or your mortgage payment from the county. So be sure to read about that on the Word page. Okay, let's go to the legal page real quick. And let me congratulate Pierce Freelon. He has been chosen to represent Ward 3 in the City Council. So congratulations, Pierce. That's awesome. I watched that, the vote taking place this morning. It was really interesting. All righty. Now, Legal Aid NC, as you know, they have these wonderful webinars all during the week, different topics. On Mondays, they have something called Home. That's housing on Monday evening, where from 4 to 5, you can talk about different topics related to housing. You can ask questions learn how you can get free representation, etc., etc. And again, that is from 4 until 5. The link is on the Legalese page. Oh, and also the Word page. All right, let's see. Let us go to the gardening page. Let me make sure I don't want to leave anything out. So, Durham Parks and Recreation, they have this wonderful program called All About a Garden. This is an outdoor program at Edison Johnson. This is for young people, boys and girls ages 5 to 12. It's all outdoors at Edison Johnson. They'll learn how to garden, how to plant flowers, etc., etc. They're playing it safe. Only a few young people can participate. So it starts this Wednesday, day after tomorrow. So see if you can get your kid in. If the fee is $6, that's not much. So be sure to check that out. And that is on the Garden Shed page. Okay, let's go to the Sport and Life page real quick. That's the sports page. Again, Durham Parks and Recreation. They have something called the All-Star Competition. And this is for teens ages 13 to 18. It's called the DPR All-Star Competition, which means they're going to battle next Tuesday, September 8th from 6 until 9. Ooh, it's kind of late. Okay, it should be really fun under the lights. This is going to be at Hillside Park, the basketball courts, behind W.D. Hill off of Roxborough Street. And it's not going to be a game because, again, they want to keep the kids safe. So this is more like a skills competition. So probably like free throws, dribbling, that sort of thing. So only a few will be chosen to participate. So if you have a young person ages 13 to 18 loves basketball, try to get them into this program. It's a one-day thing. Okay, let's see. Last but not least, we're going to the Let's Go page, calendar of events page. And just to let you know, New Visions of Africa restaurant, they'll be giving away free snacks and meals from 3 until 6. And they're right next door to W.D. Hill on Fayetteville Street. I told you about Legal Aid NC 4 to 5. I have sometimes the same information on different pages, so you won't miss. Okay, yes, Marvis Fun is having a beginner's line dance class. That's going to be this evening from 7 until 8. It's free. It's on Zoom. The link is right there on the Let's Go page, so you might want to check that out. Also, a collaboration of Empower Dance Studio and the LGBTQ Center of Durham. They're co-hosting a virtual 90s cardio funk dance party. That sounds like lots of fun. That's going to be from 7:30 until 8:30. And you'll need the Zoom link for that. I'll tell you how to get that on the Let's Go page. Also, tomorrow morning, the Durham County Sheriff's Office, they have the Rabies Vaccination Clinic from 9:30 until 11. $10 cash even for your dog or cat. Make an appointment. You can't, it's not, no walk-ins. You have to make an appointment this time because of COVID-19. So check that out. Also tomorrow, Urban Ministries. Now, if you're in need, listen up. Urban Ministries, they're in partnership with Food Bank and also Sankofa Farms. They have something called Food, Shelter, and a Future. It's a drive-through / walk-up food pantry. It's not going to be right there in Urban Ministries. It's going to be in the vacant lot that's adjacent to it. And that's going to be from 10 until noon. The first 150 households will be served. So if you are in need, be sure to get down there. And don't forget your face mask. You must wear a face mask. And if you're in your car, all you have to do is pop open the trunk, and they'll just put the food right there in your trunk. That's awesome. Okay, I think that's it for one more thing. New Visions of Africa restaurant, again, they're really stepping up to help the community. It's unbelievable. So tomorrow morning, okay, at 11:30, they have a grocery giveaway. And if I'm not mistaken, you get to choose the groceries. They just lay them out on the picnic tables. Wear your mask, get in line, and then you will be able to choose whatever groceries you want. And I think that's also awesome. Hats off to Kasib Abdullah for that. And one more thing, Nehemiah Christian Center, they are also helping. Free bag lunches tomorrow from noon until 1. They are downtown on Mangum, just a couple of blocks north of downtown. And boy, I just love how people are just stepping forward to help others. Oh, my guests are here. Okay. Quick weather report. It's 81. It's cloudy. It doesn't seem very humid right now, but we're supposed to get rain this afternoon, maybe. It's going up to 85. And then tomorrow, it'll probably be, it might be more humid. Who knows? It's going to be 87 degrees. and it will be partly sunny. So we have two guests here, and we'll be talking about. In fact, wait a minute. Let me turn back to the school page so that I can have it right in front of me. Yes. So we're going to be talking about St. Joseph AME Church's education webinar, which is later today. Okay, so let's bring on our guests. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So I heard about this from Pam Purifoy, and I said, boy, it sure would be nice if somebody could come talk about this. And I'm really glad that you were available, both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Miss Childress, I think you're muted. I can see the symbol there. It looks like you're muted.
Okay, great. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So it's called Unique Learning from Specialized Education to Gifted Education and Everything in Between. So who wants to start and explain that to us?
I think I'll start. I am Willa Sample, and my co-leader is Velez Childress, and we are the Youth and Tutorial Ministries of St. Joseph's AME Church. Um, I am a retired Durham Public Schools administrator, teacher, human resources person, and we have a group of church members who are active teachers, retired teachers,
Okay.
parents who have come together to help our kids and our communities and our families in particular to stay informed with learning during this pandemic time. So our webinar tonight, talking about unique learning. This is certainly a unique time to learn during a pandemic
Yeah.
without a teacher in front of you, looking at a computer screen, and just trying to make it all work so that there's no gap in your education. So our webinar tonight will feature Dr. Kristen Bell, who is the Executive Director of Special Education with Durham Public Schools. And she will talk about the special needs students, if a student has an IEP, Individualized Education Plan, how those services are delivered, and how to keep your kids focused during this time. We will also have Kim Thomas Kane from the Duke TIP program, uh, Talent Identification Program. That's the other end of the spectrum of how do you keep academically advanced students engaged during this time?
Mm-hmm.
How do you provide enrichment? How do you help them to continue to excel during this time? And we will have Karen Balday, who is a classroom teacher at Rogershurst Middle School, who's also uh, ac- who's also certified in academically gifted teaching. But she will fill in that gap of the in between. What if your student isn't listed as the academically high achieving student, and will provide strategies on how to nurture your kids to get them to move forward in their learning so that they get to that accelerated level. She will also give strategies and some resources to keep your students engaged in learning. So that's what we're working on tonight.
Awesome. So I'm very curious. I want to ask you more about the webinar, but I just wanted to throw this in because I'm very curious as a non-mom. How, for the most part, how are the kids doing that you hear about? Are they doing okay at home learning, just sitting there, maybe at the kitchen table or on the living room couch or whatever, trying to get their schoolwork in?
It's going well for some kids. I have a daughter who's a junior at Riverside High School. She's in the engineering program and she's doing well. She likes working on her own. She likes the quiet that she gets when working at home. But then I was talking to a parent this morning, a parent of a fourth grader, and that fourth grade child is being kept at home with the grandmother while she works, and she's there at the computer screen. But then, as soon as she walks in the door at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, she has to sit down with that fourth grader and figure out what she learned today, what
Mm-hmm.
homework she needs to help her with, which takes an additional hour or two out of her day just to try to get that child back on track. So it works for some and it doesn't work well for all. This
Yeah.
is just not a blanket case of learning right now. It's not.
And that's why this particular group organized, because we realized that in our community, we would have people on all parts of that spectrum, parents that really cannot be home teaching their children because they do have to work. And so we wanted to see, hear these stories, and we're having these webinars and inviting people to write us, to send information in to St. Joseph's, to our committee, so we can see what the community's needs are, because we have quite a few educators in our group and also just some concerned parents. And we are beginning to have other members of the community contact us and say, I would like to be a part of this movement, be a reading buddy, or be able to call a child that needs that kind of support. And so we're just so pleased that the community has gathered around us and this initiative to really help our children so they don't fall behind.
I love that, because I know that the RSVP program has senior volunteers to, well, they were visiting the kids' schools, but I guess now they can do that online as reading buddies?
Yes, we're going to do that. And you'll see coming out that we'll be actually even giving a couple of seminars on how to use Zoom, so that that folks, can get some training, and we can, and have them call in, and then we can begin to walk them through or assign them someone that can help them figure out how to use these tools so we can be a part of reaching out to our kids.
Beautiful. I did want to point out that I just wanted to mention the Family Academy. Durham Public Schools has this wonderful series of workshops and whatnot for parents, caregivers, grandparents, And I also wanted to point out that on the school page, I actually have their interactive video conferencing webinar right there on the page. You can actually click right there. So I have it in English and in Spanish, and that teaches you how to, because some parents really don't know how to use Zoom, like you just said.
Right.
So it's wonderful for them to see the webinar that's in the Skywriter, but also to learn from you as well. And I think parents.
Wonderful. If you don't mind us sharing your link on our site as well, we would be glad to do that, so that people have additional tools. That would be great.
Okay. And I also wanted to point out that although both of you are with St. Joseph AME, I mean, this webinar is for everyone in Durham.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now, to me, this is really extraordinary for a church to step forward to do this. Is this unusual for St. Joseph, or do you do this all the time?
We've always had a tutorial program that would meet once or twice a week with students who are in need of assistance. We do K-12. I don't know if you remember Dr. Laura Smith, who is retired math chair of North Carolina Central. She heads our math area. I'm also certified K-12 English Language Arts. And we have others who have worked with the local colleges or are retired teachers, K-12 teachers, and we just come together to continue helping our children. And the main thing is, especially now, we don't want our kids to fall behind because of this pandemic, and we certainly don't want to see them open any more learning gaps that's going to hinder them along the way.
That's beautiful. I'm curious about the young kids who maybe their parents aren't really that good at English. Maybe they're new immigrants. Is there someone available who speaks Spanish who can help the kids? Because maybe their parents can't help them just yet.
We are working on that part. We are also working on developing an enrichment program for students as well. We know that they're going to have their regular academics that are coming from teachers, but we also want to expand to add enrichment webinars such as Black History, the things that are not taught directly in the classroom. We have a lot of historians, people who have lived through just the history of Haiti that's not taught directly in the classroom.
Okay.
We want to talk about, of course, our Pastor Jay, Jonathan Augustine, who promotes social justice. So having him to do a webinar on social justice for teens in a comfortable setting, so that We know how to fight. We know what platforms we need to get on. And
Mhm.
most importantly, making sure that our kids know to vote by the time they're 5 years old. They can
All
go out
right
and
now.
make sure you vote.
Mhm.
All
So
right. I love it.
we're building we're building our platform as we go, but our areas will be not only just providing tutoring, but to arm the parents with the necessary information that they need to know during this pandemic of, is my child getting the services that they need? My child should be identified as being academically gifted and not being set aside as just a average child. How do
Mhm.
we enrich that child? And then promoting additional courses that are not taught directly in school to help activate that mind, to challenge the students to move forward and quench that thirst of knowledge as we come up with our enrichment activities. And we're
Wonderful.
also,
Wonderful.
looking to serve the community.
And we'd like to say, if you have any of your viewership that are bilingual and would like to be able to support us, we would love to have them. We
Awesome.
do have some people that specialize in working with children that are on the spectrum, but
Mhm.
we do need some help with children that are bilingual, and
Mhm.
that would really build our program.
Okay. For the most part, are the school days, are they the same as they always were, like 8 to 2 or 3 or whatever, or are the
There,
kids taking more breaks? Are they actually sitting there all day in front of their computers?
there are three different schedules that are set up for elementary, middle, and high. For the most part, for example, let me give you the high school schedule since I'm more familiar with that. Students are in class from, I would say, 9 o'clock is when they take attendance, and they end around 3 o'clock. However, they have like an hour of class and then they have a break, or they have breakout sessions where they can go into small groups. And then
Okay.
they have a uniform lunch period, which is like from 12 to 1, and then they go back to the next class. So they do that on Mondays and Tuesdays. Then they call it Wellness Wednesdays, where they can check in with counselors. They can check in and do more enrichment activities in terms of group work, getting caught up on projects and working together that way. Then Thursday is a normal day of academics from 9 until 3. And then Fridays, they've set it up where they can do enrichment small groups. So if your child was academically gifted, they would have that enrichment piece on Friday and then clubs in the afternoon. So
Okay.
that's what the high school week would look like. The middle school, however, is where I'm getting some parental concerns because middle school needs to be tweaked a little bit. It's hard for them to sit there for 6 hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hard for me.
Yeah, they're still going through almost a traditional school day.
Hmm.
They get some breaks and they also get that Wellness Wednesday. But if you think about the life of a middle school and going through those hormonal changes, it's quite difficult for them to
Hmm.
make that adjustment right now. So
Hmm.
I do know that they're revamping and revisiting day by day to try to help
Okay.
this work.
Okay. And when you talk about enrichment, would that include some of the things that I read? Like, for example, I was telling you about the insects and the Moorhead Planetarium programs, and then I also have here on the school page that where is it? Where is it? Um, Teach at home, Google with UNESCO. And some information technologies and education organization. They have this thing called Teach at Home. It's in English and Spanish with all kinds of enrichment stuff in there.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what we hope to pull in different groups,
Okay.
uh, different programs as you just mentioned, as well as individuals who would like to provide additional information or courses such as writing,
Hmm.
to help the kids better their writing skills, but make it
I used to
personal.
give writing workshops at the library at the different libraries.
Okay, do you want to join us?
Oh, well,
Okay.
partner with
We would
us.
love to have you join us because
Okay, I would
from
love to.
your perspective as a professional, that's what we're looking for because what they write in an essay and turn into the teacher is quite different from the kinds of writing that you've experienced as a professional, what you do right now.
Mhm.
So teaching them the difference in that, and I think it's more meaningful coming from that particular professional. in delivery of it.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a really loaded question. I talked about this with someone else last week. So, you hear, okay, some of the, like you said, some of the students are doing great. They love the quiet, the solitude. Some of the students are having breakdowns, crying, and some of the parents are having breakdowns and crying as well. And so I was wondering, okay, I graduated a year later than a lot of my friends. And now that I'm old, or even when I was working, that year didn't matter. It didn't mean a thing. It's only important in the moment. And I'm wondering if, are we putting too much pressure on the kids to act as if this is a normal school year, and to push them to somehow attain the information while sitting at home for the next year? Could we maybe consider keeping them safe and happy, entertained with enrichment and learning, but not put the pressure on having them to get a full year's education at this particular time? Because right now, even the parents, they're having a hard time right now.
I really do think that's a dialogue that is going to be happening as we continue in this COVID year, because people are all over the spectrum on that. Some parents don't want their children to lose any time, and some of us realize that in the long scheme of things, you don't really lose anything in losing here. You just don't. And there's a lot of wonderful ways, like you were just saying, to provide them enrichment. Because not every child can sit down in front of a computer all day. It's just not going to happen. And so that's a great dialogue. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
I'm very curious about that.
Very curious. I have seen on some families have started micro schools in their neighborhoods that can't afford to do that. And they're setting up little schools in their garage, and they're inviting 10 other kids with the same age kids to their house. So it's their version of the NBA bubble, where if you keep the same kids together they're not exposed to a bunch of other children, then you lessen their opportunity to be exposed to disease. And they're bringing in and hiring teachers to come in and help them through that curriculum. Nice. So the focus of where education might go in the future is going to be an interesting dialogue for all of us.
I agree, and I'd like to hopefully be kept, apprised of what's going on. And also, I'm thinking, how kids with autism and kids with special interests, they focus on one thing, and they want to learn everything about it. I'm thinking this might be an opportunity for kids to really follow their dream and just hyper focus. Like, for example, SpaceX. I love outer space. So maybe there's a kid who totally loves outer space, and maybe you can just have them watch that movie about the black women who were the scientists. I forget the name of the movie.
To watch figures.
Yeah. And then learn about SpaceX and learn about from the beginnings, the space program and Sputnik and all that, the space race, and just have them hyper focus, and then bring in a little history with that, some art. Maybe the art will be space related, and just have a whole year of language arts, even gym. I mean, I don't know, and just have everything centered around the child's special interest.
That works, and that's multifaceted, as you said. For some students, what you look at with them not being on a regular schedule, if they have some learning difficulties, is regression. And sometimes they start to lose that information that they've been taught. So, you have to be very, very cognizant of that.
Yeah. But that's why I'm saying let go of the pressure. Don't make them feel pressure. And Sheila Huggins is actually saying that it's going to be quite a while before things are back to normal, and that families that were already in a position of stress will now be even more stressed.
Right, so, but you have to find a happy medium in there. You have to look at it's an individual need. You have to look at each child as an individual. For example, you have that student who might have that regression because they're not there with the teacher and
Yeah.
you're out of sync with that. You also have the kids who need that socialization and they need to be
Oh
around
yeah. Totally. Totally.
other people and to be around other children and peers.
Hmm.
And you also have that child who who's still thirsting for learning and wants to
Hmm.
do more and wants
Yeah.
to learn more. So there are different ways that you have to approach this whole thing.
Definitely.
Pandemic, it's almost an experiment.
Hmm.
And I say every moment can be a teachable moment.
Hmm.
Uh, my daughter had a break the other day between her classes, and one of the things that I do on the side is I bake.
Mm.
So while she was taking a break, I was baking a cake, and she came down and she started helping me with the ingredients because
That's
during
math right there.
during this pandemic, she's learned how to cook.
Mm.
Otherwise, she hasn't had the opportunity for me to be with me and her
Hmm.
dad to learn how to cook, make chicken or whatever.
That
So
is so
now she's
sweet.
learning to bake. But you have to take each moment as a teachable moment
Hmm.
and help them along the way.
That's
So
that's math and science right there.
it's
It
math and
sure
science,
is.
yeah, home
Hmm.
economics. So
Hmm.
you can cover a lot of things there. But it's difficult and the kids may not always express the fact that this isn't working for me,
Yeah.
other than where
Yeah.
the parents will notice an actual meltdown. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you see and hear is the parents' concern, okay,
Hmm.
because they want their kids to learn, they want their children to excel,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
want their kids in a normal routine as to what our normal used to be.
That's going to be hard. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's why I'm thinking maybe the young people who are, for example, interested in space, maybe they can have space club,
Mhm.
and meet with, like, for example, we're right now on StreamYard. StreamYard accepts 10 people on the screen.
Mhm.
So maybe programs like Zoom, of course, you know about Zoom.
Mhm.
Everybody knows about Zoom by now. And there are different programs. In fact, there's a program called Cast where you can actually watch YouTube videos all together and talk about it on the
Mm.
same screen.
Mm.
So maybe that could be a semblance of socialization for some of the kids. So
Mhm.
there's so many different ways for kids to socialize nowadays. I know we have to play it safe, and I do like the idea of the, what did you call it, NBA bubble? I like that idea too.
Yes. Yeah,
So
those garage bubbles,
yeah.
where a lot of teachers, and you have some teachers who have decided not to return to the school setting because
Hmm.
they're at risk.
Hmm.
So if you can control your kind of your bubble in
Hmm.
terms of who you communicate with or associate with, that's been a plus to teach the 5 kids in your neighborhood that you can control and keep their academics moving as well. So more than anything, this is a great time for creativity.
Oh, for sure.
That creativity can look different every single day with
Hmm.
every single subject that you have going out there. Um,
Awesome.
a friend of mine teased me because her son, between March and June, no one knew what this education cycle should have looked like.
Hmm.
And just happened to walk into her son's room. Yes, he had the computer monitor up. Yes, she saw the teacher teaching, but he was outside cutting the grass. So
Okay.
you have scenarios like that. He just went to PE early. Okay,
Wow. Okay.
so and it's difficult because she works from home.
Hmm.
And she's thinking, okay, he's old enough, he can control this. He's there learning, but he stepped away. So I
Well,
think,
the grass got cut.
yes, the grass got cut. But I think that's where you get a lot of parental frustration because you don't have time to sit there with your thumb on that child the entire day.
That
And
is so difficult. I mean, I'm in my 60s and I find it hard to sit all day in front of my computer. I can't do it.
Exactly.
absolutely,
I cannot
Exactly.
do
And
it.
parents are going to have to make some of these decisions on themselves. School systems are bound by laws that they have to provide education in so many hours, but parents are going to have to make decisions that I think I've decided to keep my child back a year when things are in a more normal, stable setting. And
That's
so,
what I'm thinking. Take the pressure off.
right.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe they can, because when they first started publishing the kids version of Sports Illustrated, they were able to get kids who didn't care anything about reading, hated reading. They got them interested because they're reading about their sports heroes. Suddenly they want to read.
Right.
So maybe, again, by being creative, maybe each curriculum can be, I know it's hard for the parent to put together a curriculum though when they're working.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
especially
That's
those who have like 2 part-time jobs and taking the bus. That's real tough.
Yeah, and that's why we're putting together a list of interested community members that will do different enrichment activities, and then we can publicize those webinars. For instance, I've signed up with Willa to do a session on math facts that, because, young third graders need to know those multiplication tables. They don't always want to be drilled on them, but you set up something for several weeks in a row and do some fun activities around just memorizing those tables. And it'll make a huge difference in their math in the next year, just by doing that one activity.
Do you remember the RAMP program? That was a lot. When I first moved here to Durham back in 2001, there was a RAMP program. I can't remember what it stood for, but this lady ran this program. She was with Durham Public Schools, and it ended because she had cancer and died. But it was an incredible program where they taught parents how to teach math to their kids in everyday situations, like going to the store and asking the child, should we get the big can of beans or the little one? Because this is so-and-so per ounce. And let's see, how many people in our family? So they'd stand there and do math. And that would be like learning in the grocery stores, and also just everyday situations.
I'll have to look that up. And it was called RARE.
RAMP, R-A-M-P.
R-A-P.
R-A-M-P.
Yes, I do remember that. It was successful during the time that it was alive.
Yeah.
It did well.
Yeah, I think what happened was, like I said, when I met her, she
ill.
She was very sick, and the program didn't last beyond her. I think somebody tried to take it over. It just didn't work out. But it was a good program.
Yes, but as I said, you have to be able to capture those teachable moments. And where learning can take place. Learning takes place in your kitchen. Learning takes place when you're driving down the street,
Absolutely.
So, we just got to harness that energy and not be so frustrated because it's different. It's new. It's a different way to do things right now.
Right. So let's remind people to attend this online webinar, and that is, let me go back to it. St. Joseph AME Church. It's called Unique Learning from Specialized Education to Gifted Education and everything in between. That is this evening, 7:00. It's a Zoom event. So I gave you the email addresses and phone numbers so that you can get your tickets, actually your Zoom link, and attend. It should be really interesting.
And it will be broadcast on the St. Joseph's Facebook Live page. So,
let me add that. Okay.
They can just go to the St. Joseph's Facebook Live. It'll be there.
Excellent. So I'll add that to the article. Wow.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
So how often do you have these webinars?
Right now this is our third webinar in about 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay. I'm so glad Pam put it on Facebook. I missed the other two. Wow. Thank you so much for doing that.
Great. And we have more to come, and we look forward to your joining us for.
Sure. Absolutely. You have my number. I think you have my number.
Yes.
I do have your number, yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care. That was awesome. So, yeah, the students are really under pressure this year. I really, really hope they could take off some of that pressure, because the parents, they're catching it too. I'm telling you. I mean, Some parents are saying that they're just crying. It's so frustrating. Yeah. Anyway, so attend that webinar. Also, like I said, learn about the Durham Public Schools Family Academy. That's a webinar series right there on the school tools page right there. You can click and you can watch a replay of a skill session where they teach you interactive video conferencing, which I think is a long way of saying Zoom. So the first one on top is in English, and the second one, same thing, is in Spanish. Also, let me see if I have other. Let's see. Yeah, let me just tell you some upcoming. Well, tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow, DPS Family Academy, they will be teaching you about Canvas, the Canvas Learning Management System. That's real important because that is what's being used right now by the students. And it's Canvas. A lot of parents don't know about it. Also, there is an app. It's called the Canvas Parent app. And then you can keep tabs on what's happening with the educational process. So learn about that. That's going to be tomorrow at 5:30. And just to throw out, in Spanish, it's going to be also 5:30, and that's going to be Wednesday, 5:30 in Spanish. And just to read off just a couple more, finding the rest in stress, obviously, how to handle your stress and, your ability to focus, etc. That's going to be in English with Spanish interpretation. That's going to be Thursday. And then I'll just read you just a couple more. Welcome to ARC Core. I'm not sure what that is. It's a new literacy curriculum. Okay. Welcome into reading. Welcome to Into Reading. That's the name of a program. The Power School Parent Portal, Positive Behavior Support in English and then in Spanish. That's later this month. So there you go. Woo, that's a lot. So I do hope, and Sheila's saying that her daughter's a college freshman, and even she is feeling some anxiety about learning under these circumstances. Wow. I wonder what it's like for the college students because they're sort of, how can I put it, the teachers' attitudes toward college students are, this is up to you, all your effort. We can't push you like parents. We're not your parents, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sure they're feeling some stress as well. But anyway, you enjoy your day and definitely attend if you're a parent or caregiver, grandparent, et cetera, attend that webinar. I love how St. Joseph AME is stepping forward to do that. That, to me, is extraordinary. Hats off to them. This is what the community does when we get together. I love it. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow at noon. Have a beautiful day. Ciao for now.